Hey, this is Nicole, and I'm going to be sharing on how to practically build your personal prayer life. So this is something I watched growing up with my mom. She has always been a woman of prayer since I've been alive, and I would see her write down prayer requests in a journal, and she would pray through those prayer requests every day. And when I was a little girl, I decided to follow suit, and I had a little journal that she gave me, and I would write down my prayer requests. And one of the reasons I love doing this is because a lot of people want to have a real vibrant life of prayer. They know prayer is important, but they're not really sure what to do once they're in the place of prayer. Like, what do I say to God? He already knows everything. What's the point of telling him things that he already knows? But I love that prayer is that place where we get to build real history with God. It's like when you have a friend and you hear things about your friend from other people, that actually doesn't help you build relationship with your friend. What helps build relationship and intimacy with that friend is when you're sharing your life and when you're hearing from the friend yourself. So I love that we get to do that with God. And more recently, a few years ago, I switched from a prayer journal to a prayer booklet. And what I do in this prayer booklet is write down my prayer requests for myself, for people in my life, and for cities and ministries and countries. And I will write down promises that God has spoken over us, or I'll write down things that I want to see, like areas of growth in my life that I know God is highlighting. I'll write down those prayer requests, and then I'll take that to the place of prayer. And what's really cool, sometimes I think if I just came to God, I wouldn't know necessarily what I want to pray about or how I should pray for it. But what I love about having a prayer booklet is that you can come to the Lord, and it's not like a grocery list where you have to only stick with the things that you've written, but it's a great launching pad to start with. And it's amazing to see myself bring prayer requests before God on a daily basis over many years, and to see God begin to answer those prayers, sometimes after a few days, sometimes after a few weeks, and sometimes after a few years. So I wanted to share some of the practicalities of my prayer booklet with you. So this is a $2 photo album from CVS. You can get them a cheap photo album from anywhere, I think, but CVS has these for $2. And I fill the front and the back of my prayer booklet with pictures of my friends. Is this correct? Yeah, pictures of my friends, just so that I like to open this every day and I like to look at it every day. And then I'll start off the prayer booklet. The first couple of pages, I have prayer requests. I don't think you can see this, but I have prayer requests about God specifically, like how I want to know the Father better, how I want to get to know Jesus better, how I want to know the Holy Spirit better. And I'll have a couple of pages on God. And then, because I need a lot of prayer, I have several pages, 1, 2, 3, 4 prayer pages for me, of all sorts of different prayer requests for myself. And then I have pictures of friends, again, to keep me engaged in this prayer booklet. And then I have a page for my family, and a page for each member of my family. This page is for my family as a whole, and then for each member of my family. I love my little brother. He's amazing, and I have a page for him. And then I have a page for relatives and for different people in my life. I have a section for Jason and Holly. And let's see, this is more of my family, friends. And then I have several pages for people I'm praying for to come into God's kingdom, to come into the family. I have a page for that. I have a page for where God's leading me in ministry and career, in my career, and I'm currently attending grad school, but I'll give him all of the career plans that I think are going to be a part of my life, and I'll write them down and bring them to God in prayer so that he can actually lead the way this unfolds, and that he can lead it in his timing. I also have a page for the persecuted church, And for all of the promises or desires that God has given me, I'll write them down and I'll pray them so that I know I'm not trying to make these things happen on my own, and I'm not just waiting for God theoretically to come one day and take care of this, but I'm bringing it to Him, but letting Him know, I remember the promises you've given me, or I remember the desires that you've given me, and I'm bringing them to you because I want you to lead them and I want you to bring them to pass. And I also have a section on nations, and I have a couple of pages on my future husband. I'm praying for you, whoever you are. And let's see, what else? I also have a page for different seasons of my life. When I know God's leading me into transition or my family into transition, I'll write down prayer requests for that. I have some pages on cities, more pictures of friends and family. And yeah, and that's kind of my prayer booklet. And I sometimes know that it's hard to know what to pray for someone. So like I said, if there's an area of need that you notice for yourself or your city or your community, your family, your ministry, that's something that you can write down. And if you also are going through the Bible, maybe you're just spending your time with the Word, spending your time with Jesus in the Word, and you come across a passage or a promise or a sentence that stands out to you. Like for instance, David was a man after God's own heart. And if that jumps out to you and you're like, hey, I want to be a man or I want to be a woman after God's own heart, then you can write that down in your 4x6. I didn't mention the 4x6 note cards that you can purchase anywhere. And write down that prayer request, and then you can pray that over yourself and just praying every day, God, I want to be a woman after God's own heart. Will you give me a heart after your own heart? And let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. So these 4x6 note cards, you can, if you like decorating, if you're an artist, you can use colors. I sometimes use colors so that every page I'm looking at looks a little different. And this is a really, really practical way to bring your prayers to the Lord. And to Luke 18 says that we should come to God with our prayers insistently and perseveringly. And it's really nice to have something to look at to remember what it is you are bringing to the Lord. And I also like to write down the date of the prayer request so that I can see when He begins to answer the prayer request. I'm like, oh, I wrote that down 3 years ago and He's answering the prayer. So I hope you find that helpful. If you have any questions, you can probably ask Jason for further details. But yeah, I hope this prayer booklet tutorial is helpful for you. Have an amazing day.